All right, everybody, welcome back. So, in this section, we're going to take a look at the remainder of Chapter 12. And you can see here I've added a couple of new objectives now that we didn't have the first time. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at graphing parent functions from the equation based on a transformational approach. So, we're going to go back to those sections that we stopped at last time. Come on, right here. And you can see now I'm going to deal with just the parent function. And I'm going to actually get a graph at this point. But you can see no longer do I have a parent function. I've got extra numbers in here that were not here before. The parent function in both of these, that's where we want to start. This was a cubic. And this was a rational. And what we want to look at is be able to recognize what additional numbers did I add into these and where did they go? Because it turns out in both of these I really only added two numbers. I added this number next to the x, it was directly next to the x, and I added this number which was kind of on the outside of the function. Well, it turns out both of these values tell me the transformation. The green value is going to tell me the left and right translation, how many left, how many right. And the red value is going to tell me up and down. So that's where we want to start, is that in number one, this was a cubic function, so it was cubic, and it went one up. In number two, this is a rational, and it went one down. Now, the left to right number is a little more challenging because it's actually backwards. So in the cubic function, this went 4, and I want to say it was to the left because it's negative, but it actually goes right. And in rational, it's 2 left. And that's what I want to be able to look at and then put on a graph. So on my graph, I have my parent function. It was cubic. But my function went 1 up and 4 to the right. So my original point, which was here, went 1 up, 4 to the right. There's my new graph. And then I remember from cubic that there are 2 points here and here. And then I'm going to actually be off the graph, but I can come down here and get this last point this way. And there's my transformed graph. What I'm looking for on these graphs, it doesn't have to be very detailed, but I do want to see those points actually move. I want to see, can you move every single cubic point up 1 over 4, up 1 over 4, up 1 over 4, up 1 over 4. So I want to actually see that. The rational is a lot more challenging because rational we didn't have a lot of points. All we're going to do is take that 2 points where those asymptotes intersected and move that. So I'm going to go down 1, 2 to the left, and I'm actually going to put my asymptotes right there. Then I'm going to remember, once that's actually my transformation. Getting the graph becomes a little, we're just going to remember that it was really 2 points there. And we're just going to get the general shape of it. It's actually the asymptotes that we're moving. So that's what we're identifying. So in this one, we want to actually go backwards. So I want you to say, all right, well, what do I have in this graph? Well, this is radical. And it was flipped. And it looks to me, it was literally just 2 left. Now I want you to put that into an expression, into an equation, into a function. Well, the left 2 I know that's the value that goes here, and it's backwards. I took care of radical because I've got the equation. I took care of left 2. And to get flipped, we're just going to put a minus sign out there. There's my equation. The same is going to apply number 2. This is an absolute value. And it went 3 left and 2 down. So left, 3, 2, down. And it wasn't flipped, so I don't need to worry about that. So how does that look? Well, there's my absolute value. I took care of that. Left 3, that'll be right next to the x. And it's going to be a backward sign. 2 down will be that. Okay, so that's how we're going to end it, and we're going to look at actually the equations of these things and go from there. Your practice today is going to be using those equations to either graph or write a new equation. And on both of these, we're either going to graph. So here's my graphs. I'm going to look just from the transformation. You'll notice we're not going to use a calculator on this. We're just looking at transformations. So this one, I would need an absolute value that was flipped. Left 1 and down 4. So flipped, left 1, down 4 would be that there. And on the back of this, I'm going to want you to do the same thing, but I want you to actually write the function. So reflect would be negative, and then 2 to the left would be plus 2 there. And that's how I want to finish up. So finish this packet and practice it. Here, I want you to actually do it from a graph like we just did. So cubic, identify this as cubic, and this was up, looks like up 2, and it was flipped. So flipped, up 2. So again, finish this packet, take a look at the answers, and when you're ready, we'll probably take a quiz on this shortly. So look this over and make sure, what can we do? Memorize the parent function, memorize the name, memorize the graph. Then be able to tell me left, right, up, down, flip. Be able to do that graphically and be able to do that with an equation, and you're good to go. All right, finish up this packet, and when you're ready, we'll probably take a quiz here shortly. Good luck.